Okay, hello everyone. So I'm going to go through this game, John William Schulten versus Paul Morphy, 1858, New York, New York, Ultimate Showdown. I don't know what that is. Okay, anyway, so this is from memory. Morphy's playing black, so it's e4, e5, and then f4. I'm going to turn this off for now. The King's Gambit. So yeah, so often, I may as well just go into it. I often play this and just, let's say they play whatever. You often try to get your bishop, attack here, your queen wants to come here maybe. At some point you might sacrifice and then bring your knight here. You often play pawn here, take this back, knight here can jump in. For example, what's one of the lines? Let's just say they do nothing. And, what was it? Something like, do I need to castle? I don't think it matters. Let's say they play there. I think I may be able to take. Let me just see if this works. If they, or maybe it was something like knight here. If they take your queen, check. It doesn't quite work here because their knight's protecting. But there's some lines like this where it's checkmate. Anyway, so I like the King's Gambit. That's not what we're looking at. So he played d5, which is like a counter-attacking move. One thing you got to be careful, it's maybe tempting to take here. They didn't take, you may as well take. But black can play check. And this is very awkward. This diagonal is really weak, because this square is kind of weak. So if you try to defend, it's check. And you lose your rook at the least. And yeah, there's not much else. I'm pretty sure this is check. This is quite awkward as well. I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's looking very bad. Okay, what does it give? Let me just see, yeah, they have to give up their queen. Okay, so let's go back. So you have to be careful there. So he didn't take, he did take this one, which is more reasonable. And then maybe you could take back, but then maybe the knight develops. So Morphy pushes this pawn, which is an interesting idea. It prevents you from getting the knight here. It's a bit awkward. It's not that easy to get rid of this pawn. They may be able to defend it. So John William Schulten plays this. Morphy defends the pawn. I'm trying not to go too fast because it's good to look at, I think, variations. So then he plays d3. Okay, and that seems to make sense in a lot of lines, to try to get rid of this and sort of open up. This is blocking the bishop though. So Morphy keeps moving forward, pins the knight. This still seems to be okay for white. But yeah, what do? The knight's threatening to take here, and often once a knight's pinned, putting more pressure on it's good. For example, let's say you did nothing, and then again you did nothing, they could take, and then they're forking the king and the rook. So that's the kind of thing you got to be careful of. So he plays bishop here, which seems to be reasonable, ending the pin. And then Morphy plays e3. So just sort of pestering the bishop. And it's a bit silly to go back. So he takes the pawn. And then I was not sure. Maybe we're going to trade now, or maybe we take. But he castles. And I guess this is actually quite dangerous, because this bishop's quite awkward to protect. This knight can't protect it, the bishop can't, this is pinned. The queen can, but it's worth too much. And then if this rook comes here and pins this, pins the bishop, then the knight can maybe go there or go there. It's quite dangerous. But anyway, so he plays the bishop straight back to try to end the pin again. And then he takes here. So Morphy. So you could take back. There's a few options, but he takes back with the pawn. So I'll come back to look at the alternative. Okay, Morphy then brings his rook out, check, and yeah, there's a few options. Like he could block with the knight. He could run with the king. That's probably not so good. Maybe the knight can attack. So he blocks with the bishop, which seems reasonable. And then Morphy brings his bishop and puts more pressure on this pinned piece. But the game still seems reasonable. I think, can knight be played? I think h3 is recommended in a lot of lines. So this guy plays c4, This protects this pawn at least, and maybe gives this bishop some places to go. But this is a bit unstable. Morphy wants to get his other pieces out, so he plays c6, which maybe he's planning on taking, and then he can take a second time. Yeah, now here's where apparently the biggest mistake occurs, because there is a bit of danger here, but at the moment the knight and the queen are protecting it, but you really want to get the king out of the way. So, but this guy took on c6, and this is already a big mistake. This welcomes the knight straight in, which is the most logical move. That's what Morphy played. But the problem is the knight coming here and the pressure here. There's nothing that can actually be done. So in the game, he played king here, but it's already over. So for example, if he blocks with the knight, let me see if I can do it from memory. I think it's best to just take it, and then can the queen come in here? Or is there something better? I think you can just do that. Or I think can the knight just come here as well? And how do you protect this? So there's a few options. So that doesn't really help. Playing the pawn here to maybe block this, and the queen can come straight in. So yeah, that doesn't help. There's just pressure. There's not much to do. What were the other options? Anyway, so let's just keep going. He plays there, and then there's a way for black to capitalize. Often, see this pin, you want to keep it. You know, you want to increase the pressure. I was thinking knight coming here or something, but the bishop's protecting. Knight here maybe, but this white is now threatening to take there. So black takes with the rook, and yeah, this is very dangerous. Of course, there's maybe a discovered check to win the queen. But so white takes back. But yeah, now this is pinned, and black immediately plays this. He could play maybe queen here, try to put pressure and bring the rook in quickly, but it's not as good. The king is not actually pinned. I think the queen can even just go here. This is protected, and he can also harass the bishop. There's a lot of lines where if the bishop goes back, it can end up trapped potentially. So it recommends trading, but yeah, and that gives up a piece. So yeah, he brings the knight in, and yeah, there's nothing to protect that. The bishop can't protect. The queen and the king are too valuable, and the rook can't do anything. So he brings the queen over here. I don't know if that's the best. There's a few options maybe, but anyway. Now see if you can see what the combination is now. The game's basically over, and black has a forcing line. He can basically finish the game. So see how far you can look ahead. You can pause it if you want. So I'll go into it. So he plays check. So that's very forcing. There's only 3 moves that I can see. We'll go through the rest of them later. He moves his king up, but this welcomes the knight in. I thought he would go to the corner first, but okay. Now he could move up, but he goes back. And now an interesting move, because I was thinking maybe queen here, that threatens this. It's not clear what else. Well, maybe the queen could go there, bring the rook over, because at least these pieces are all safe for now. But he plays a more forcing move. So knight f3, which is basically checkmate. These are covered, so the only thing to do is to take it, and then this clears this diagonal. It's kind of like, yeah, just a clearance sacrifice. Knight's out of the way, and then check. And bishop blocking is no good. So again, there's only really one move. Check. This is all forcing. I did see some of these by myself. And now it's interesting. You do have to be a bit careful. How do you, if you check again, or how do you, So he ends up moving the knight out of the way, Morphy, but there's a couple ways he could have done that. So this is checkmate. And this is also threatened, but then the king can run away. So one of the main things is to try to protect here. So he brings the queen over. So it ends up making this queen move here, ends up looking kind of silly. And so see if we can again find the finishing, how to finish white. So he plays, yeah, like I said, if you play there, it's not so good. So get rid of that. He plays check, and the queen's covering all of this, so he has to go there. and then that's checkmate with the bishop. These pawns are doing a good job covering all these squares. So, okay, so that was how the game played. Or they might have resigned somewhere here, I'm not sure. But, okay, so I want to go back. Let's just go through it. I hope this is educational. I feel like I'm learning from it. Yeah, let me turn on the analysis. In fact, I can do the report thing. We'll see how long it takes. It gives black a very good score. While I'm waiting, can I keep going? It's probably going to suddenly jolt. I hate this. Okay, yeah, I think earlier, yep, there, see. Yeah, 99.4, but white's considered pretty good. So I think, where was it? Here. I think D3 is considered maybe best, but it's still making up its mind. What's the main one? Yeah, this is a big mistake by far. Okay, but let's go through. I'll turn this, turn that off again. Okay. So yeah, a lot of this seems actually quite standard. Once it has time, it'll say it's fairly even. Yeah, so let's just look at let's say, I don't know, just tries to attack that. So trading and then rook here. And how do you defend this? Yeah, it's very awkward. So let's say defend with the queen, but I think knight here is fine. How do you defend it? You can bring your king up, but you know, the king and the queen, it's not worth, yeah. Okay, so what else? So take castle back. It seems awkward, but it still thinks it's fairly even. Now let's say bishop takes. So yeah, it's just considered a bit better. This is playable, but I don't know. I don't know why. This seems more natural, but maybe the bishop's being harassed already, so maybe he just moved back, and it's just still awkward. Check, and yeah, how am I going to get my queen out of the way? Or knight c6. What if I just play knight here? Can I do that? Queen e7. There's pressure, so I can't castle because they could take. So anyway, I think they could have taken with the bishop, but all right. And then check. Yeah, what about knight here? Okay, it's still maybe about the same. Knight takes or queen takes, or maybe even bishop here. Is that a good move? They can harass it. All right. Anyway, so they block bishop here. Again, I think maybe this was playable here. What if you play that? Okay, they think maybe trade. Queen e7. Okay, yeah, it's awkward. So I'm not sure. Anyway, but here, h3 is what it recommends. Because at least, okay, yeah, it's awkward, but it's better than what ends up happening. This is the key mistake. See, now it gives black a solid advantage. Because, yeah, there's no way to stop it. What were the other? Maybe bishop here to try to stop this. But let me, again, I'm trying not to look. Because that does stop. Oh, wait, what was it? I'll give up. Look. Oh, you just put the knight there anyway. And if takes, take, and yeah, I guess it's just a slow. I think they're ready to sacrifice and then bring the rook. So let's say here, yeah, take, and then rook here, and this is very, very awkward. Okay, so it ends up, so at least that might have been another try. Okay, and then yeah, if you take with the bishop, it's not as good. You've lost a lot of the pressure because this knight is free to move. But so giving up the exchange, and you've still got the pin, so you've got time to bring another piece in. And yeah, there's not much. So let's say rook here. I don't think it makes much difference. They're recommending, so even before you take, but I'm pretty sure this is fine. And you're winning the queen. Yeah, it's over. So, but even before that, you can bring the queen. So, okay. Yeah, and I think this is a nice combination. King here. Right. They don't even have to rush. So you can just take here because this is checkmate. Oh, they can block with the bishop. Now it's mate. So, I don't know if there's I think this, again, is really just getting it out of the way. But you may as well take a pawn and threaten the rook. it's pretty bad. So let's say king here. I think probably, okay, so queen here feels natural. Just pressure. Bishop b4. Okay. Can we put the queen here? Bishop d2. Okay, let me pick a square. If they run away, bishop f3. Bishop f3, that's weird. I guess the queen here is threatened. So even if you take, if you go there, that's checkmate. If you go there, I guess we're getting the same kind of line, and that's checkmate. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it matters. So some of those might have lasted a bit longer. So anyway, check, check. If you go, oh, he did go back, didn't he? So if he goes up, what was the knight f5? Ah, okay, actually this is quite interesting. The bishop's covering these squares, this is covered, that's covered, that's covered, so they have to go there, and then the queen can come in here. Or even, there was another move. I think knight here is checkmate, covering these squares, and this knight covers these squares. It's pretty cool. Okay, yeah, so that wasn't possible. And then king here, yeah, nice combination. Check, 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 check. And then knight here was played. I think knight here works the same. Whoops, this is threatened. And whether you bring the queen or maybe the rook, it doesn't matter. You can then, oh, what was it? So we go check here. They have to go there and then checkmate. So it's really just a matter of, like back here, either go there to there or there to there. Doesn't matter, as long as you end up there and check the king. In cases like this, it's sometimes good. It might be tempting to check, but I think that's okay, but I think you just end up repeating. It's better to just keep the queen here. It's really cutting off the king. But yeah, okay, it's over at this point. And yeah, rook here doesn't make any difference. Checkmate. Alright, anyway, so I'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm just trying to get better. I'm pretty proud of the fact that I remember it. It's not a complicated game though. Anyway, so, alright, bye.